As the people of Iran brave another intensifying crackdown by their rulers after another effort to reclaim their basic rights from one of the world's most repressive regimes, I have a question. Why so few protests in the West? Specifically, where are all those defenders of persecuted Muslims who've been taking to the streets over the last couple of years in cities across Europe and indeed around the world? What is so different about the cause they've been espousing in their demonstrations over Gaza and the cause of the millions of their co-religionists 1,000 miles to their east? In Iran, of course, this has been happening for decades, with more than 3 million Iranians driven from their homeland in the 47 years of the mullah's rule.
In the past, they've started shooting the hell out of people, and all of a sudden people without any weapons whatsoever are standing there and you have machine guns gunning them down, or they take them to prisons and then hang them and kill them. So they played rough, and I said, if they do that, we're going to hit them very hard.
Over the past 2 weeks, the clash between good and evil has seemed to be approaching a climax. The brutality has escalated. But where's the outrage, as they like to put it? We all marvelled at Queers for Palestine when they marched over Manhattan Bridge. So where's Queers for Iran? A country that we all know treats gay people with even less respect than their brothers in Hamas. Where are the movie stars and pop icons and their artists for ceasefire pins? Where's the International Criminal Court's crack team of lawyers to investigate crimes against humanity and issue indictments against, for example, Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, or Masoud Pezeshkian, the country's president, just as they did for Benjamin Netanyahu? And on a recent trip to London, I saw nothing like the energy of the marches for the Palestinians that have been taking place there over the last couple of years. Just a courageous young man scaling the walls of the Iranian embassy, removing the Islamic Republic's flag from its balcony and replacing it with the flag of the former regime. Indeed, in the UK, there's been criticism that the BBC and other major media outlets initially significantly downplayed the events taking place in Iran. John Simpson, one of the grandest of BBC grand panjandrums, led the pack of journalists springing to their own defence. Very difficult for news organisations to get correspondence in. The BBC is banned, and so are most others, he posted on X. And then, in a moment of almost picturesque lack of self-awareness, he added, "It's a bit like Gaza." Well, no, Mr. Simpson, it isn't a bit like Gaza at all, where the scarcity of reliable information didn't stop the BBC and many of its peers from broadcasting daily for 2 years the most lurid accounts of the Israeli offensive there. Much of it pure Hamas lies.
Now the focus is shift from the economic grievances to the regime itself. Death to Khamenei, death to the dictator, freedom, etc. That is what is happening here.
Perhaps the strangely muted defenders of the Middle East's most persecuted could make the case that we in the West are already at least trying to weaken the Iranian regime. We don't sell it arms or work with it as an ally, unlike Israel. It's true that Iran is subject to sanctions. But this is no thanks to the left over here, or most of the Europeans who've been so fiercely critical of Israel. Successive democratic administrations in the US worked with European governments to try to coax Iran back into the international fold.
A comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Which may provide a further clue to the lack of heightened passion for Iranians. It may have something to do with politics.
I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it. And we're looking at some very strong options.
President Trump has led the way in diplomatically isolating Iran again. In his first term, this was achieved with the elimination of Qasem Soleimani, commander of Iran's Quds Force. This was followed in his second term with the attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. Washington's leadership has clearly weakened Tehran's grip. Some people, no doubt, would rather see Mr. Trump denied a foreign policy success than see 90 million people liberated from tyranny. And who knows, to fully indulge my cynicism for a moment, perhaps the reason so many protesters condemn Israel for its legitimate actions and give Iran a pass for its illegitimate ones is that Iran, unlike Israel, isn't run by Jews.